welcome to another Doctor Who review. This time I'm reviewing a 12th Doctor story, Dark Water, Death and Heaven. This is a revived series story, so no television companion here. We go straight into the review. Quickly go over the plot line. Danny is speaking to Clara. He gets knocked down. Clara, with grief, tries and forces the Doctor to take her back in time to save Danny. The Doctor has a better idea and takes her to Hell, which happens to be a nether sphere, a kind of Time Lord technology created by Missy. And all the memories of consciousness of dead people is still around, and Missy's utilised that. And the dastardly plan is that she's used all these dead bodies to convert into Cybermen. These Cybermen then start to take over the Earth. Danny becomes one of these Cybermen, ends up thwarting the plans of Missy, who wanted an army for the Doctor, basically, to help him in his righteous cause, looking to get her friend back. Missy reveals herself to be the Master, of course, as we know by this point. So Danny saves the day, effectively, takes control of control bracelet that Missy gives the Doctor initially, and destroys all the Cybermen. And that's basically your story. But overall, there's a few interesting bits and pieces of this two-parter. It is a two-parter. It's the end of Series 8. So it's the first series of Peter Capaldi's run that we're seeing here. It's an okay story. I don't mind some of the beats in it. It's enjoyable enough to watch. Some of the bits I do like the story is the scene with the dream patch near the beginning where Clara's throwing away all the keys, and the way that the two of them act, Jenna Coleman and Peter Capaldi, is really emotional and really impactful, and it just shows how far Clara is willing to go to get what she wants with her controlling nature. The whole thing about Missy and the character, completely bonkers all the way through. When she first meets the Doctor in the mausoleum, in the 3W Institute as it's called, she's completely bonkers. She snogs the Doctor at one point, gets him to feel her chest for 2 hearts. The Doctor's still not quite sure who on earth Missy is, and it's not until the end of Dark Water that we reveal that Missy is the Master, which surprises the Doctor. She's still bonkers and crackers throughout the second episode, killing poor Osgood at one point. The fact that Kate Stewart's back, along with Osgood, which is the first time they've made an appearance since Day of the Doctor. The fact that Osgood gets killed, gets picked up in a later story in Series 9, which I won't reveal now because that'll be in another review. The whole concept of the dead people being picked up as the consciousness is the white noise that you hear, and when translated, and the Neversphere picks it all up. I love the fact that the 3 words are actually, don't cremate me, because basically in the afterlife, in this Neversphere, the people will feel what's happening to them in the other life. So if they're in cold storage, they feel cold. If they're being cremated, ouch. The whole idea of it. The fact that Cybermen are back, the fact there's a kind of cyber pollen that converts dead bodies, that's been reprogrammed to convert dead bodies. Obviously there's been lots of dead bodies in the past on Earth, so an unlimited army the Doctor effectively is given by Missy near the end. Then you've got the whole relationship between Danny and Clara. She doesn't believe when she manages to communicate Danny from the Neversphere that he is Danny. He will not hurt her, and he tells her to turn on the inhibitor that he has on his cyber suit near the end, which he eventually does, after a couple of back and forth with the Doctor about it. He doesn't hurt her, he doesn't destroy her. He becomes the controller and destroys all the Cybermen, basically. Nice few moments. You've got an appearance of the Brig in Cyberman form. You've got Unit and Kate Stewart and the whole situation of the Doctor being president of the Earth. When it comes to a major alien encounter like it is here, it's all through protocols and what the British do best. Protocols and all that. The whole idea that Missy's trying to contact and get a friendship back with the Doctor again after all this time is an interesting concept that's developed more over the next 2 series. It's a nice little arc that the Missy and the Doctor both go through in this whole era, and it's played quite well on this. Looking at the characters and looking at the actors themselves, you've got Peter Capaldi playing the Doctor. The first season, the Doctor, you're kind of not sure of him sometimes because he's a bit brusque and a bit emotionless and a bit alien, really alien. He's effectively emotionally 2 steps ahead of everybody else. Clara's expected to react a certain way, he doesn't. He's 2 steps ahead and already thinking something different. And the way Capaldi plays it, you see that here. It's really It's really quite good. He reveals why he doesn't like hugs, because it's just a way of hiding your face, which is an interesting, cute little thing. And obviously the respect that he has between him and him and Clara is there, because even when Clara betrays him with the dream patch, he still wants to help her and fix things, which is really, really good. And you really warm to the Doctor at this point. It's not like early in the season, like I've done with Listen already, where he's still a bit uncertain. You're a bit uncertain of it. You know all the hits. You know what's coming out, and it's a really nuanced performance that you get from Capaldi. And he gets the speech of the idiots at the end. He's not a bad man. He's not a good man. He's an idiot, just passing through. I like that speech. I like the way he comes across. Then you got Jenna Coleman playing Clara Oswald. It's not bad. I mean, Jenna Coleman never puts a foot wrong on what she acts. This is the best consistent character of Clara we get for the time that Jenna Coleman's with the series. It's an interesting one, though, because this whole relationship thing between her and Danny comes to head in the story, of course. The development of the character. It's been nice to see Clara in a developed character than just being a plot device like she was in Series 7. And the whole emotional circle that comes around here is done really well in this story. The controlling nature of Clara, the fact that she tries to trick the Cybermen by saying that she's Doctor. They don't see through it. Danny Cyberman definitely does sees through it. The Cybermen see through it, but they're not quite sure whether it's the Doctor or not. That whole frisson that's there is really quite nice. The fact that she quotes at one point the Doctor got his doctorate, well, just about got his doctorate at Glasgow University. She's very good at trying to be like the Doctor, and that's kind of hint of maybe what Clara's character will try to be next season, which is interesting. The whole idea of the way it's played with Clara and her emotional state, she has just lost somebody she's starting to fall in love with. It's really horrible, and it's played seriously all the way through. I love the whole way that Coleman does the role, and it's acted really well. Another great part is Samuel Anderson as Danny. He's a soldier type. We get to see a situation when he's in Neversphere, when he's speaking with Seb, the receptionist guy in the Neversphere, where Neversphere, not Spear, Neversphere, one of the two, where we're told about the boy he kills when he was on tour, and I think it was in Afghanistan he was on tour with, if I remember rightly, and the boy he kills by accident and the guilt he has for it. And it's a nice little full circle near the end when Danny realises he can survive, and he pushes the boy through to the real world again and gets him back alive. I thought that was really cool, that he has a full circle of redemption with the boy. That's a lovely little point. Samuel Anderson plays it straight, plays it well. He bounces off both the Doctor and Clara, and there's great chemistry between the three of them. Then you've got the standout, which is Michelle Gomez's Missy. What a box of frogs she is. How nutty is she? The bits when she's singing when she's tied up in the cargo hold on the plane. You're Missy, you're so fine. The whole say something nice as she's about to kill somebody. Especially the bit with Osgood. The whole situation of her playing an android when she first meets the Doctor and fooling him that way, which does confuse the Doctor. The whole idea that she wants to be friends with the Doctor again and try and get it back, and does this evil deed of converting all the dead humans into an army for the Doctor so he can be righteous across the universe and right the wrongs, which the Doctor doesn't want or need, is an interesting concept as well. And you can see why she's such a popular version of the Master, and plays on it even better in the next couple of seasons. But the whole thing, she goes between a kind of posh voice to the Glaswegian and flips between it. The madness of Michelle Gomez as an actress as well. She is quite zany in real life, and she really has put her heart and soul in this role, and it really shows. It really is quite fun. You've got Chris Addison to play Seb. He's more a cameo than anything else. Just this receptionist guy, this admin guy, processing dead people into the Neversphere. He gives Danny the opportunity of deleting his emotions, which is partly in the inhibitor, which he ends up using at the end because of all the hurt. The whole conversation and the way he's there is this kind of strange little man in the background, which Missy quite happily kills near the end, which is interesting. It's okay overall. The two guest stars I do like are Ingrid Oliver playing Osgood. The fact that the Doctor offers Osgood a chance to ride in the TARDIS once all the events are over is a nice idea. Shame she gets killed, but we do see the repercussions of that in the next season, which I'll not spoil because obviously you guys will need to see that. But the idea of Osgood, I love the character. Ingrid Oliver is great. All the traits of Osgood that we saw in Day the Doctor are here again, and it's a really sweet role and a really lovable role, and it is basically the Doctor Who fan in Doctor Who. That's basically what it is. It's a more nuanced version of the Whiz Kid from Great Show in the Galaxy. That's all I'm going to say. Then you got Gemma Redgrave, solid as always, a Kate Stewart. This is like the 4th appearance of Kate now in the series. She doesn't seem to put a foot wrong really when she takes the mantle on as Lethbridge Stewart's daughter. The whole fact that she's looking for the Doctor's help, helping the Doctor out, the whole conversation that she has with him in the conference room on the plane is really strong. You think she's dead when Missy blows her out the cargo hold, but obviously her father in Cyberman form saves her and lands her safely on the ground in the graveyard where all the last action is. It's a solid role, and I do like what she does with it. You've got other actors there. You've got Sanjeev Bhaskar playing Colonel Hamid. He's kind of the unit, the whole joke of unit all being besotted with the Doctor and have a kind of hero worship of him is there with Hamid. The Doctor starts taking the pee out of him at some points because of it. Soldier Boy, I think is what he calls him at one point. It's rather sweet. It's a decent role. And then you got Sheila Reid back as Gran. Sheila Reid, of course, was in Vengeance and Virus, which is on review of already. But she was Gran in Time of the Doctor, which is the last time, which is, I think, no, it's not the last time she appeared. But she has been in a story before, and she's there as an emotional point when Danny initially dies and Clara still comes to terms with it, and she's in the kitchen making a cuppa. It's written by Stephen Moffat. It's his finale of season 8. It's the last 2 episodes. There's a lot of little in-jokes there. You've got the Glasgow University in-joke, which I mentioned. It's the Chaplet funeral home, the funeral parlour that Danny is in. The whole fact the water that comes down in the clouds is the whole seed of the cyber pollen to bring them all back is really interesting and creepy. The whole idea of the dead being brought back to life in a kind of zombie but in Cyberman way is a really interesting concept. Stephen Moffat doesn't muck about when it comes to making you feel safe about the unordinary. He's very good at that, and this is another example of this. The script itself is actually pretty strong. It goes along at quite a crack. I think maybe the coda at the end of the 2nd episode where the Doctor meets up with Clara, they lie about the fact that Clara's with Danny and Doctor's found Gallifrey, which Missy gives the coordinates for, which is the original coordinates. And the Doctor actually goes there and finds that the coordinates aren't there and Gallifrey isn't there. He does find Gallifrey in the next series, and we'll say more about that when we get to that review. But the whole coda bit at the end could have been a bit shorter. I think it might be just a case of them having a simple goodbye at the end of the story at the graveyard, and then the Doctor saying goodbye to Clara. Instead of it being a few weeks later, they meet up again, and then Santa turn up at the end, played by Nick Frost, which is interesting. It's a solid script. It goes at a pace. It's enjoyable to watch. I love the concept of the fact that you got the dark water that covers inorganic matter, so all you see is a skeleton sitting in these watery tombs in the mausoleum, which happens to be St. Paul's. You get a recreation, a kind of modern recreation of the Cybermen going down the steps outside St. Paul's, although the steps have been remodelled since the invasion, so it's a different setup completely. And there's a few tropes that hark back to Easter eggs like that in the story, which I've mentioned, which is really nice. The direction by Rachel Talele is really lovely. It's pretty strong. It's very basic 2-shot or 1-shot most of the time. There's not much really action stuff with what she's doing here. She can do action, and when she does do action, it's brilliant. The finale of Series 10 is a good example of that. She's a great little director, and you can see why Stephen Moffat used her. The way the direction's done is visually exciting. The whole idea of the direction she does is really lovely. And the whole fact that you've got this kind of grand scale to everything, because there's a few low down shots that are used quite a bit, probably drone shots by this point, of the graveyards, of graveyard shots, and surveying of the low down shots of all the Cybermen coming out, St Paul's Cathedral and all that. The idea that there's 91 Cybermen in the UK for 91 population centres, and each of them will destroy a cloud above the population centre, create a cloud above the population centre to create more Cybermen, is an interesting concept there, which is realised quite well with the effects that are done through Rachel Talele's direction, and of course the visual effects from Milk and BBC Wales. The music by Murray Gold is okay. It's not bombastic. It covers when it needs to. You've got the leitmotif of the Masters theme coming in initially when you first notice the Masters there, when Missy's there, to help the hints for the audience. You've got Clara's theme comes in near the end with the sadness bit when she's meeting up with the Doctor. Overall, it's not a bad it's not a bad musical score. It's not too peeping parpy. It's actually pretty reserved, and it actually helps the plot along than actually overwhelming it, which is some of the problems with some of the later Murray Gold scores. This one isn't. It's actually works quite well. Overall, I do like this story quite a lot. It's certainly watchable. It's certainly very enjoyable. And for that, I would give it a rating of 4 TARDISes out of 5. So let's see how that story fits in with the rest of the Peter Capaldi era so far, and how that story fits in with the rest of the stories reviewed so far on this strand. So Dark Water, Death and Heaven is the highest rated of the Peter Capaldi era reviewed so far, with 4 TARDISes out of 5. Listen to Knock Knock on 3.5 TARDISes out of 5. And Sleep No More is at the bottom with 2.5 TARDISes out of 5. And it is only one of 2 stories overall that have been reviewed of the television stories as 2.5 TARDISes out of 5. It is alongside Time Lash. At the top is still 6 stories with 4.5 TARDISes out of 5. They are The Happiness Patrol, Inferno, The Day of the Doctor, The Caves of Androzani, The Tomb of the Cybermen, and Dalek. That's it for this review. Thanks very much for watching. What do you think of Dark Water, Death and Heaven? Leave a comment down below. Do you like it? Leave a comment down below. Do you not like it? Leave a comment down below. And if you like this video overall, don't forget to hit that like button and share it with the hashtag teamstructor. And if you like the channel as a whole, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the notifications bell so you know when a new video comes out. And also, you can help support me on Patreon for as little as £1 or $1 a month. You can help me out and support the channel by going to patreon.com/Deanstructor. It's not an instruction, it's more a request. But that's it for me. I'm back on Wednesday at 6 PM GMT with a review of The Celestial Toymaker. Hopefully you can join me for that. Until next time, guys, I'll see you later.